is a wisdom keeper and a person who wants to bring the message of hope back to us all. So I'm sure she's going to have an awful lot to share with us. And who doesn't want to have hope in their life? I think it's all important that we have this feeling of love and hope in our life. So, Martie, uh, how would you describe yourself?
A Jackie of all trades and mistress of none. I've done so many things in my lifetime, and I thought that I was no good at any of it because when I was young, at 7 years old, I heard I was a mistake by my own mom, but she must have been having a bad day, but I took it very to heart. And I think that planted a seed of stubbornness that I was going to prove my value. Some way, somehow, I was going to prove it. I didn't know that all along my path, I was getting the tools that they were coming from other sources that I needed to sustain myself, to be bouncing back, to be resilient. So I discovered the word resilient and the association I had with it when I wrote my book, Resilience Nourishes the Soul. It was like that was the pivot where I said, wait a minute, I could write a heart. I took a course with the pandemic. I didn't have a job, so I didn't want to be idle. I didn't want to burn on the tube and just watch movies or whatever. I wanted to be productive because I've always been a workaholic. So I said, I could write a horror story, or I can make it make it better and take a look at it again and write it in a different version. So what I did is I went back to the day that I was called 7 years old, and I started seeing like all these little treasures along my path of people that presented themselves, and I started being grateful. I started realizing that I was given and blessed in many ways, except the one way that I was focused on, the love of my parents. But as life would have it, I wrote the book and it didn't end up being a horror story. It actually ended up being pretty good, and it was a catharsis for me. I started healing a lot of things, and I started realizing, wow, if I take a look at everything from a different perspective, I can really resolve a lot of that emotional luggage that I had just blinded myself, where I couldn't see or think anything. I couldn't dream because look at the history you have. You've failed at everything in my book. But no, I hadn't failed at everything because I went to the medical university. I was a radiation therapist. I was in the Air Force as an Air Force mechanic. I knew how to do stuff that most people don't get a chance to do, but I didn't appreciate it because I wasn't able to continue it. So it just kind of like one big dread after another. But I've been blessed with and the one thing that has been a huge blessing to me, and it's made a big difference in my life, is my husband. We've been married for 41 years. That's critical in this day and age, because I've met some of my friends that have been married 3 or 4 times, and it's like disposable husbands. I'm like, no, that's not how it goes. But this guy, he's just been through thick and thin. He meant more than his vows when we gave each other as a wedding present. But he's also seen me through the worst of times, because I've had 27 surgeries, and I've moved 49 times in my lifetime thanks to my parents. They just kept traveling up and down the East Coast. I've lived in Venezuela and Colombia. I was born in Colombia, South America, so I'm bilingual. But I quit being bilingual because it got me in trouble with all the different dialects in Spanish, and I was saying a fruit and it'd be a curse word, and I was like, no, English is sacred. so, so I just kind of like tuned that out of me. But at the same time, after I realized how blessed I was, and I came back to the faith, I saw the movie The Passion, and something stirred in me, and all of a sudden a miracle started happening, because I had re-injured my leg, my knee. It had been torn, and I had torn my ankles and my other leg. I mean, I was like a chassis all out of whack, riding on flat tires. But this doctor showed up out of nowhere, and he says, you need a spine stimulator. I said, I need a whoop. It's either that or a coma. And I was like, excuse me, I don't know what you're talking about. But he said, we can put a wire through your vertebral column, and it looks like a pacemaker, but it'll be implanted in your butt. And I was like, Oh, wait, okay, and that's going to send a signal to your brainstem that you're not in pain. What happened was my autonomic nervous system went short circuit,
Right.
and all the things was rapid fire pain all the time, were to the point where I was suicidal. I couldn't
Mm.
handle it, and also I had to have psychiatrists and everything. They pumped me full of medication. It was just going opposite direction of where I wanted to be, but I had already given up on myself somewhere in that whole process because of everything else I had lived. But I saw the movie The Passion. All of a sudden, it just kind of like
Yeah.
aha moment. Okay, God has you here for a reason. You've
Yeah.
survived all these traumas. You survived all and surpassed and overcome so many things. How could you not, be blessed? And
Mm.
so I went back to the faith. I became a Sunday school teacher for 35 years. So in just having that contact with children, because we weren't able to have children of our own, that contact with children just made me, it's like God put that necessary ingredient in my life to feel motherly and yet have the benefits of both, because I give them and borrow them back,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
borrow
Yeah.
them and give them back with no expense involved, other than teaching, but it was fun for me. So that's just kind of like a little taste of everything that I've lived. But I can definitely tell you that I am not the person I was 10 years ago. I lost 70 pounds, 70 inches during the pandemic. I became a personal trainer at 62. I just turned 65 last week, and I'm like, oh my God, I never saw this coming. And on top of that, I published a book in 2022, December 2022. In January, it had already won an award for resilience. Halfway through the summer, they nominated me for a humanitarian award of Women of Hearts. And I was like, they must have the wrong Smith. I don't think so. But they called me in September and said, no, you got to come pick up your award. It's in England. While I'm out
Oh.
England, they sent me another, or they picked me for another award of Woman of Story of Global Impact. And I'm like, what is going on here? So this is all like all these little miracles that have popped
Mm.
up since the book started. I get home and I find another recognition that I was Inspiration 2023 for Latinos Sin Fronteras, which I came back to the Spanish because I said to myself after going back to the faith, God's going to ask me what all I got along the way and what I did with it. And how
Yeah.
can I say I dismissed my native tongue? That's just not right. And and I think a lot of that native tongue thing was, I learned English before I did Spanish. And because we moved so many times, I
Hmm.
adjusted to the English because of what I told you. But at the same time, it was like I was able to express myself in school and everything a lot more there. And the other one was a foreign language to me. But God would have it where he'd say, okay, you published your book in English. Where's your Spanish? Where's the
Yeah.
message of hope in Spanish? So I went ahead and got a translator that worked with me. We sat down. I said, I want to sound just like I do in English because I express myself better in English. And I know there's certain sayings that aren't happening in the American world as they are in Latin America and vice versa.
Yeah.
So let's get it closer to what I am. And sure enough, I published the Spanish version. And not only that, the people that nominated me for the Global Award of Story of Impact, they included me in an anthology in 2 books. So I'm actually on my 5th book. I just published another one, Plan, Prepare, and Expect to Win. It's mind blowing. I never expected any of this. I saw myself probably 10 years ago going, you're going to find yourself a motorized wheelchair so you could go outside and enjoy life, in my own weird version of it. But I was suicidal when all this stuff happened. And what happened, why I ended up in a wheelchair, is the muscles atrophied where they were not
Of course.
rapiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
The muscles were just not receptive to the signals that I would have to ask
Mm.
myself permission to move. And even then, my muscles were so weak, I was like wet noodles, so I couldn't sit, or
Mm.
all I had to do was sit and ride the wheelchair. So it's been grueling. It's been an experience, but it made me so much better. I gained so much more. Even after losing the weight, I gained confidence. I would have never been caught dead talking to a perfect stranger across a screen. I was very introverted, very shy. And now I see it's like the whole time that I was growing up, my whole life, I wasn't able to express myself because of fear that I was going to be judged somewhere, somehow. And now I see that all that is gone. And it's like, I'm here to share my story. Take whatever you can, whatever little tidbit you can to learn how to bounce back from adversity. If you broke your nail, that's fine. You'll grow another one, that kind of thing. And it escalates to the degree that I had it. But resilience is an awesome tool. It is definitely, I'm now a resilience ambassador because I see that everything that I've been through has been well worth the fight, the struggle to share what I'm feeling now. The joy is overwhelming. It just want to pour out of me. It's like if people could taste a little bit of the joy I feel, this world would be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a wonderful story, to come through so much. Of course, like that too, it's when we realize that everything happens to us for a purpose, everything is in divine order. And when we sort of get ourselves out of the way, we realize that, wow, all of these things happen, made the person that I am now, and that I have this to share. There's so many people maybe miss the mark and spiral downwards instead of spiraling upwards, So this is definitely great inspiration for everybody. And to know that, yes, things happen for a reason, and it's a look for the gold. Look for the gold.
That's it. And I think in my past, I was used to focus on all the whole problem and negate the fact that there was possible solutions because I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know to take a look and say, okay, you can't control everything, but you can control how you react. So now that I've learned all these tidbits, that's what I'm sharing with the world. It's like, okay, yes, life is hell. But it's hell because we grow from it. We thrive because we overcome it, and we learn how to share that with the rest of humanity. It's simple. Life is simple. We just complicated the heck out of it to the point where we don't even know what is right and what is wrong. We've just made a oblivion out of everything could possibly make us thrive. So let's go back to the roots. Life is simple, and we can handle certain things. No, we can't control everybody. No, we're not the only island in this world. We have to coexist. We have to thrive together. Find a way. And the way that I say we can find it is each and every one of us is a unique miracle. And each and every one of us has something to offer to this world. Because you don't feel that way, it's because someone didn't try to, or you're surrounded with toxicity that people just want to, woe is me, mum's the word, no, we don't talk about that. And if you don't face those fears, if you don't face those emotions, they build up to the point where you do become suicidal, like me, become worthless in your eyes. So how can you contribute to the world if you think you're worthless? But the problem is we're not taught when we're young that this is a possibility. So I'm all for teaching the younger people about resilience, because now I see that in teaching, I'm reliving my childhood in a much better fashion. And with all that Sunday school teaching, it taught me, it's like, see, okay, so you didn't have children, but look, you got to see what the children look like when they're growing up. And these kids that were 7, 8 years old when they started with me are now grown, married couples, and they feed back to me what they're doing. And I'm like, wow, if I had been their mom, they would have never contacted me to tell me anything. But it's the coolest thing in the world. I recommend everybody sit down and write their story, because they do have something beautiful to share. Maybe they don't know how. Call me. I'll get you started.
That's it. That's a fact. How do you see yourself going forward?
Oh, well, I got all kinds of irons in the fire. I got two more books to publish this year and another one next year. But also I'm teaching or putting together courses to teach young entrepreneurs and young people that, yes, you might have graduated high school, and now you don't know where to go, and you're not sure if you want to go to school. So get those skills, get those tools of resilience. You probably did an interview and they turned you down because the money's not right or the economy's bad or whatever, but that doesn't mean that it's not a learning opportunity for you to build a better version of yourself along the way. And eventually someone's going to come, because life happens that way. Eventually someone's going to come and discover talents in you that you didn't even know you had in yourself. And that's exactly where I'm sitting right now. I didn't know that I didn't have to be William Shakespeare to write books. I didn't know that I even had an important message for the world. And it's just awesome. It's awesome.
I tell you, it's one hell of a story. Where can people get your books? Are you on Amazon
I'm
or?
in Amazon, and I would love to include the
Oh,
links to
please
all
do.
my
Yeah, yeah,
social
yeah,
media. I will
yeah,
send them.
yeah,
I'll send them on the video whenever you post it.
yeah. And the same thing again, like how would you like people to contact you, or is there something specifically that you offer them? You've got
Well,
so much to offer.
I offer I offer one-on-one. I do give 15-minute one-on-one counseling, and we take it from there. But what I ask people is read my book. Read my book, because it's gonna wake up some stuff in you. And I didn't know that when I was writing it, that would be the purpose of it. I was just kind of throwing down what I needed to get out of me. But just read the book and contact me if you want to get a hold of me. And then together we can figure out how to get you started in the right track of believing in yourself, trusting in yourself, building the confidence that it's necessary for you to stand on your virtues, your values, and your whole uniqueness to thrive in the world. And it's that simple. Like I said, life is simple. We just complicate it.
Yeah, it's so true. I tell you, you have so much to say. I could just sit and listen to you all afternoon.
I do. I just like, I gotta get it out of me. I gotta get it out of me, because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like I'm turned 65, and it's like, okay, Marty, you don't have time to pussyfoot around. You don't have
Mhm.
time to lollygag. You got to get this out, because I feel like it's making me just grow exponentially in a form that I
Mhm.
never knew. And at the same time, discovering all these new things that I didn't know I could do. I didn't know I could be techie. I didn't know I could run a Zoom. I didn't, because I'm old school. I'm way old school. I was born in the 59. Okay. We didn't have the biggest, fanciest thing that I ever saw was wild was those
Yeah,
mobile phones. The mobile phones that were the size of a shoebox in a case,
yeah, yeah.
And now all these people with these little half an inch things, and I'm like, oh, people, you need to connect with society. You need to connect with the world. Yes, electronic is helpful, but you have to measure your time in front of it, because it does make you a slave to
Yeah.
technology. And you get flustered, and you can't push the right button, and it
Yeah.
so yes, there's time, and there's a time and a reason and a season for everything. So enjoy and get the good out of everything that you're exposed to. Go out to nature, enjoy nature. I tell kids when I was in Sunday school, I said, look, you worry about your phone not being charged. You got surround sound, you got quadraphonic, you got speakers out there, and it's what? Free of charge, and it never goes out. So just go out there and enjoy nature. You will find some joy. You will find some sense of peace, some calm, everything that we need to thrive. So
What a beautiful message. What a beautiful message. You're such a wonderful woman and such a wonderful person, and the
thank you.
realization that life is all about experiences and then giving back what it
Exactly.
is that you've learned, you know. So,
Hmm.
how would you like to leave our listeners with tonight? Is there something you've got so much wisdom in there, but if there was one thing that you could leave them with, what would it be?
The resilience, I've come up with an acronym for resilience, and it's tenacity. T, trust in you and trust in God or a higher force. Energy. You need to have energy to take action. Uh, N is be nourished. Nourish your mind, your body, and your soul, and you will see the difference. Also, actualize. When you have to take that first step out of the comfort zone to do your thing. You also have to have courage to face your fears, your all the mess that goes in front of you that you don't want to look at. But if you don't look at it, it's going to block your vision, your ability to dream, and to make plans for the future. Is that easy? But no, not. And inspiration. You have to be inspired as well as be an inspiration to others. And you will notice the beauty in that. Teach. Once you learn all this, teach it to others, teach it to your children, teach it to the people that need to hear the message that no, your life hasn't been a disaster. Maybe you didn't have all the right things in front of you. Maybe you feel like you're a failure. No, it's only a temporary lapse in the ability for you to see that there is a solution, an ability to see the resolution to the problems that you're facing. And then you are the key, the most responsible party to be resilient, to take care of your life, to thrive in this world. And it's how you react and how that. So this is what makes you conquer fear. You are the one that conquers fear. You can't just take a pill or drink and forget that you're even afraid, because it's going to come back, and it's going to come back tenfold. Anyway, so that's my little gig.
Oh, beautiful, absolutely wonderful. Tammy has been, or Marty, has been such a pleasure talking to you. And
Thank you.
you've got a hive of nature. We'll put your links. I'll send this on to you, and then we'll be able to put your links in the comments, and your books and all the rest of it, and how people can contact with you, because you've got so much to offer. You really
Thank
have,
you.
and
God bless.
it was my pleasure and a pure joy to talk with you, to have this talk. I've just stopped
Thank you.
recording. That was wonderful, Tammy. I've got Cami on